My name is Howard Zerh, and I am a professor at Eastern Mennonite University's Center for Justice and Peacebuilding in Virginia. We are a graduate program for practitioners around the world. We're a program that tries to train reflective practitioners. Restorative justice as a field began in practice, not theory. So when the first people did this kind of thing, and when we were first doing it where I lived, we didn't really have a theory. We had some reasons for doing it. We didn't really have a theory or concept. So I found this term restorative justice stuck away in an essay somewhere and began to write about restorative justice as a conceptual framework. My book, Changing Lenses, came out in 1990. It's been published here, and many people are using it here to understand restorative justice. Restorative justice arose initially as a different way of addressing justice questions. Our legal system, our school systems, and others tend to revolve around punishment, rule breaking, that kind of thing. In fact, I sometimes say you can summarize it in three questions we ask. We say, what rules or what laws did you break? Who did it? What punishment did they deserve? Restorative justice is an attempt to change the focus, change the questions. And instead of asking that, we ask, who's been hurt in this situation? What are their needs? Whose obligations are they? Who has a stake in this? Who needs to be part of the process of resolving the issue? So while the ones is you might say a deserts-based, or it focuses so much on making sure people get what they deserve, restorative justice focuses more on needs and obligations. I often say there's three principles basically of restorative justice. One is that we address the harms that come out of a situation and the needs that arise from it, because whenever we're harmed, there are going to be needs like that. Secondly, we address the obligations. Whose obligation is it to try to repair this harm, to make it right? Well, the offenders, first of all, but the rest of us may have some obligations as well. And then third, the principle of engagement. Those people who are impacted and have a stake somehow ought to be involved in the resolution in some way. So in one level, it's a way of addressing justice questions, injustice questions, justice questions in a way that focuses on healing and repair. Another way of looking at it, and some people say it's really about how we live together. It's about how do we have healthy relationships, how do we mend relationships when they're damaged, how do we build healthy relationships. Because there are, in addition to these three principles, there are a number of values that underlie it. And I like to use three. One of them is respect. It's about respecting everybody through the process. Secondly is responsibility. It reminds us that we not only have rights, but we have responsibilities as individuals. And that's because of the third principle, which is a principle of relationships. We are interrelated. You know, at least your American society at least is so focused on individual and on the rights that we lose track of the fact that we are interconnected as human beings, that my behavior is impacted by others, and impacts others, and vice versa. In many ways, what this is a relational understanding of justice instead of an individualized kind of understanding of justice. Well, it sounds like your society, like our society in the United States, is fairly punitively oriented, and that's reinforced on a daily basis by the media, by politicians, and so forth. The thing that encourages me is that when you, at least in the United States, when you explain to people the actual circumstances and tell them what the options are, they often are a lot less punitive. If you ask people, what would you really like from this person? You want them to go to prison and feel sorry for themselves, feel like a victim, learn to be a better criminal, come out without the skills to be in society? Or would you like them to begin to understand what they did and take some steps to make it right? Which makes the most sense to you? Or ask people, if your child got in trouble, as many do, which of these options would you prefer? That makes people think. People are responding on a kind of just an impulse. They're not thinking about it. But when you ask them to really deliberate about it, you find that many times they're much less punitive. I do think there is built into the human being a need for reciprocity, to balance the score. There needs to feel like when I'm harmed, I have this need to the score to be balanced in some way. And the revenge feelings, punishment is where we go when there aren't more positive ways to do it. And my experience in working with victims is that when you provide them an opportunity like this, they're much less vindictive than you think they're going to be. They need their needs met. They need this. They need someone to take responsibility. When offenders, people who offend, pay back restitution, what's important a lot of time isn't the money. It's that symbolic statement. I'm taking responsibility. You're not to blame. It's a kind of balancing the score. So there are healthy ways to do it, and there are unhealthy ways to do it.